Hello everyone. Welcome to online lecture series for 11th subject English. In this video we shall discuss poetry 2.1 The Cherry Tree. Before we start, I would like to give you a brief introduction about the poet. Poem Cherry Tree is written by Ruskin Bond, and Ruskin Bond is an Anglo-Indian poet. He has Padma Shri Padma Bhushan award under his belt. He has done a marvelous job in the field of children literature. Let us know about the poem. The poet Ruskin Bond belongs to India. He considered himself richer having a cherry tree at his door. He felt proud for planting his own tree. The title of the poem is related to the central character, that is cherry tree, whose journey from planting to upward growth to the blossomed tree is given. The poem deals with the poet's feeling of great joy over a tree that he planted and took 8 years to grow. The poem talks about nature, thus it falls under the category of nature poetry. The tone used is optimism, which means that the poet focuses on the growing aspect of nature and how the cherry plant struggles to survive. The poem is realistic as it describes the everyday struggle of a plant to mature into a blossom tree. Now, let us see the poem. 8 years have passed since I placed my cherry tree in the grass. Must have a tree of my own, I said, and watered it once and went to bed and forgot. But cherries have a way of growing, though no one's caring very much or knowing. And suddenly that summer near the end of May, I found a tree had come to stay. In this line, the poet says that it has been 8 years since he planted a cherry seed in the grass. He did so that he could have a tree that he could claim, but after he watered it once, he forgot about it and went to bed. The poet exclaimed that cherries can grow even when they are being not being taken care of. They can grow naturally without having to water every day or take care of it. Suddenly, that summer by the end of May, the poet notices a tree growing from the place he planted the seed. Let us see the next lines. It was very small, 5 months child, lost in the tall grass running wild. Goats ate the leaves, the grass cutters split it apart, and a monsoon blight shriveled the slender stem. Even so, next spring I watched 3 new shoots grow. The young tree struggled upward, thrust its arm in a fresh, fierce lust for light and air and sun. The poet says that the tree was very small and almost 5 months old. The tree was so small that it wasn't even visible amongst the long grasses. Goats came and ate the leaves of the plant. Grass cutter had split the plants apart, and even the monsoon damaged the plant. The thin stem of the plant dried, and even by the spring, the tree managed to survive, and the poet saw 3 new shoots grow. The young cherry tree struggled to grow upward, however, its branches managed to grow fiercely upwards to get light, air, and sun. Let us see further lines. I could only wait as one who watched wandering wild time and the rain. Made a miracle from green growing pain. I went away next year, spent a season in Kashmir, came back thinner, rather poor, but richer by a cherry tree at my door. In this poem, the poet is saying that the poet waited and watched the tree grow while the time passed and it rained. How the tree survived even in pain. The poet goes to Kashmir next year to spend a season, and when he came back, he became a thinner and rather poor, but on the other hand, the tree grew richer at the door. He had grown 6 feet high. The poet couldn't believe that it was the same tree that he planted in which dark cherries had grown. Let's see the next lines. 6 feet high, my own dark cherry, and I could scarcely believe it a berry, ripened and jeweled in the sun, hung from a branch just one. and next year there were blossoms small, pink, fragile, quick to fall. At the merest breath, the sleepiest breeze. In this line, the poet says that the tree had become a mature and fruits shined like a pieces of jewelry in the sun which hung from the branches of the cherry tree. By the next year, the flower blossomed, which were pink in color, fragile, and which is very quick to fall even in the slightest movement of the breeze. Let us see the further lines. I may on the grass at ease, looking up through leaves at the blue, blind sky at the finches as they flew, and flitted through the dappled green, while bees in an ecstasy drank of nectar from each bloom, and the sun sang swiftly, and the stars turned in the sky, and moon moths and singing crickets, and I, yes, I, praised night and stars and tree, that small the cherry grown by me. The poet lies on the grass to relax and describes nature in full swing, that is the sky, finches, bees, crickets, and the blooming cherry tree. The bees drank the nectar from every flower until the sunset. The stars visible in the sky, and the poet could hear the moon moths and the crickets singing. The poet praised the night and the stars and the trees that he had planted and was grown by the poet himself. This is all about the poem. To conclude the poem, I would like to say something that the poem gives us underlying message about the trees adapting nature and its determination to grow despite all odds. The poet wants to highlight that humans too can overcome all the obstacles that they face in their life and become a strong and tough like the cherry tree. Now let us move to the figure of speech. Here we will see some of the figure of speech. Figure of speech in the poem, alliteration. Alliteration means consonant sounds are repeated in successive words for melody. Some examples of alliteration are here. It's arm in a fresh fierce lust. Here consonant sound fo is repeated pleasingly. The next example of alliteration is made a miracle from green growing. Here the consonant sound g is repeated pleasingly. Shriveled the slender stem. Here the consonant sound s is repeated pleasingly. Antithesis. Antithesis means opposite ideas. Words are used together. Here are some examples of antithesis. But cherries have a way of growing, though no one's caring very much or knowing. Opposite idea of growing without caring is seen in this line. It was very small, 5 months child, lost in the tall grass, running wild. Opposite ideas, small and tall, are seen in the lines. The third figure of speech in the poem is climax. Words, phrases, lines are arranged in ascending order of their importance. For example of climax is pink, fragile, quick to fall. The fourth figure of speech are used in this poem is personification. Human qualities are attributed to non-human inanimate objects. The example of personification in the poem is a tree had come to stay. A tree is given the human quality of coming and staying. And the rest of the examples find out from the poem. Thank you.